The test was cruel, calculated, cold, and crafted with the precision of a man who trusted nothing and no one. In the stillness of a marble-floored mansion beneath a glittering chandelier and the soft ticking of an antique clock, a safe stood deliberately wide open in the master's study. Inside, bricks of cash were neatly stacked beside coils of diamonds and gold, all shimmering like a trap disguised as temptation. He knew she would pass through this room. He knew her schedule down to the minute. The millionaire, hidden just beyond the hallway arch, watched without a sound. His eyes were narrowed, though not in anger, but rather with quiet, sharp expectation. But the more he waited, peering at his housemaid stepping into the study and pausing in front of the safe left open, he had no idea that what was going to happen within the next few minutes would break him in ways he didn't know he could still break. What he was about to see would unravel him completely, showing him a heart he thought had long ago turned into stone. If you believe in second chances, in the quiet strength of character, and in the kind of kindness that can change a life, take a moment right now, like this video, subscribe to Real Kindness Stories, and share this message. Let the world know that integrity still exists, even when no one is watching. Her name was Camila. She was 32, slight, quiet, with deep brown eyes that carried stories she never spoke. For 7 months she had worked in the Ashworth estate, a widow raising 2 young daughters, caring for a mother with cancer. Camila was the kind of woman who bore her struggles silently. She arrived before dawn each day, tying her dark hair back, slipping into her uniform, and beginning her tasks with steady, uncomplaining grace. To most, she was like a whisper in that house, floating behind silver trays and polished marble, without turning heads. But to Alexander Ashworth, this reclusive millionaire, who had been born into inheritances, yet never into peace, Camila was a mystery lingering in corners of his mind. He had spent most of his life building and defending his empire. People stole from him, lied to him, used him. His ex-wife had drained him in the divorce. Employees had embezzled. Friends had turned opportunists, so he had built walls of steel for his vault, thicker ones around his heart. Camila didn't fawn over him. She didn't pry. She moved with silent dignity, and she left every room a little steadier than she found it. Her background checks were spotless, painfully spotless. That level of honesty almost irritated him. It felt too perfect, too clean, impossible to trust. That was when he decided to test her. One Wednesday morning, minutes before she was scheduled to dust the study, Alexander instructed his security team to disable the hallway cameras. Then he set the safe open, doors wide, riches on display, temptation arranged neatly for one unsuspecting housemaid. No one will know about this moment except him. He wanted to find out who she was when nobody else was looking. Would she steal? Would she falter? Or was she really the unshakable woman she seemed to be? At precisely 8:42 a.m., Camila entered the study. She went in not noticing the safe until sun reflected off of the steel door and shot a bright reflection across the floor. She froze mid-step. For a moment she didn't even breathe. Her gaze wandered to the hall. It was empty and quiet. She stared, fixedly, at the open vault, as if she doubted her own eyes. Alexander's pulse raced. He leaned forward slightly, watching her every move slowly, cautiously. She approached the safe. Her hand paused in midair above the stacks of cash, touching nothing. Instead, she drew a small cleaning cloth from her apron and gently wiped the metal edges of the safe door. She didn't count the money. She didn't shift a single bill. And she didn't even let her gaze linger. She simply cleaned the steel with the same care she gave every other surface in the mansion. Then came something Alexander did not expect. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small worn photograph. It was creased at the edges from years of holding onto it. She glanced toward the hallway again, making sure she was indeed alone, then set the photo on the shelf beside the piles of cash. It showed 2 little girls, probably 7 and 5, smiling brightly in front of a hospital bed where an older woman lay propped up, pale but still smiling. Camila leaned in, whispering something so softly that even Alexander, concealed only feet away, couldn't make out the words. Then she lifted the photo, pressed a gentle kiss to it, and tucked it safely back into her pocket. Finally, she closed the safe. Alexander stepped deeper into the shadows, his eyes wide in astonishment. He had expected something, anything. A flicker of greed, a moment of hesitation, a stolen bill slipped into a pocket. Weakness was what he expected. Instead, he saw something quite different. What he saw in that room wasn't temptation. It wasn't greed. It was reverence, pain, and love, held together with quiet restraint. Alexander stepped away before she could see the tears forming in his eyes. He didn't understand why the moment struck him so deeply, only that it did. That night, he couldn't sleep. The scene played itself over again in his mind. The open safe untouched, the gentle kiss on the worn photograph, the way Camila closed the vault, not because she was afraid, but out of respect. Guilt felt like truth, and it weighed upon him, an invisible stone pressing into his chest. It was never about the test anymore. It was about her, about the kind of character he had spent his whole life insisting couldn't exist. He suddenly realized how much of his world had been built around past betrayals, how many people he had pushed away because he could no longer believe in goodness, how close he came to misjudging one of the rarest souls he'd ever met. The next morning, Camila stepped into the kitchen and froze. On the counter was an envelope with her name on it, in Alexander's unmistakable, precise handwriting. Inside was a short letter. Integrity is priceless, but so is peace. You have given me both. Your daughters and your mother deserve a life without fear. Please accept the enclosed without guilt. It is not a reward, it is a thank you. A signed blank check was attached with no amount filled in. Camila sank into the nearest chair, her breath caught. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she pressed the letter to her chest. Her hands were shaking, not because of the check, but because of what it meant. Her mother's treatments, her daughter's school fees, the looming threat of eviction, all the fear she had carried for years, suddenly, impossibly, had an escape. And not because she stole or begged, but because she chose honesty when no one was watching. That weekend, Alexander went to her house for the first time. No longer as a remote boss, but as a human being. As one learning to trust anew, he sat at her tiny wooden table, playing with her daughters, bringing a file of papers to enable her to buy a home in a better neighborhood. He offered her a new position, head of domestic operations, full benefits, a flexible schedule so she could care for her family. But more than the job, more than the check, he offered something he rarely gave to anyone: trust. Sometimes, the most important tests are passed in silence. Sometimes the richest people aren't those with the fullest safes, but those who choose truth when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, then please like, share, and subscribe to Real Kindness Stories. We share true emotional stories that reveal the quiet power of humanity. And before you go, drop a comment below. Do you believe one act of integrity can change everything? And tell us, what would you do if no one was watching?